critical mistakes companies need to avoid. Sally?
Well, you may have heard of a horse whisperer, but if you're a business owner or CEO trying to grow your business, you may need a company whisperer. There's a new book called Predictive Leadership: Avoiding the 12 Critical Mistakes That Derail Growth-Hungry Companies. The author and CEO of Dando Advisors is Kirk Dando. Good morning, Kirk.
Good morning, Sally. Thank you for having me on.
And thanks for joining us this morning. So let's start off by telling us what are some of the most common mistakes you've seen other leaders make as they grow their companies?
One of the most common mistakes I see is where leaders really underestimate how difficult it is to create an organization that gets and stays ready for growth. And at the same time, they overlook the fact that nothing kills faster than success. So this combination of underestimating and overlooking creates this environment that opens the door for what I call the 12 most critical mistakes, or the warning signs of success, to actually show up in an otherwise healthy business and start messing up the growth.
Well, let's talk about the specific types of businesses or industries that are especially vulnerable to the roadblocks that you're describing in the book.
So any organization that is desiring growth, and there's really three types that I address in the book, or what I call growth-hungry organizations, organizations that have had a lot of success and want to make sure that they continue on that path. Growth-worried organizations, organizations where there's leaders that maybe have never run a business, or an organization large. And then the third is what I call growth-starved organizations, where they've had success, they've grown, but for whatever reason they have started to level out in their growth. And all three of those I talk about in the book, what you need to do to be able to look ahead and predict the problems before they show up in the results, so you can get back to or continue that growth.
So you really cover the gamut of the places that people could be in at any particular time. And what about, tell us more about the 12 warning signs of success in your book. I love right idea, wrong person, and hope is not a strategy. I love those.
Thank you. They're really the paradoxes that every successful business experiences. And so right idea, wrong person is, we've all experienced the pain and drama of having a wrong person in a key position. That happens in growth and with successful companies. The issue is, what do we do once we recognize that? Do we have the authentic conversations, or do we dance around? Oftentimes I see organizations and leaders are dancing around the issue, and that creates this escalation of commitment to fixing what is not the problem. So we start spending time and resources and burning out people, because we don't have the authentic conversation about what the real issue is.
And then could you address quickly the hope is not a strategy?
Hope is not a strategy. Oftentimes I see where leadership teams get off site, they have a very detailed strategy that they can, but then as they turn around and they try to communicate out in the organization, how they communicate it doesn't take. And as you walk out in the organization, you talk to people, they're not exactly sure what we're supposed to be doing. So essentially what happens is you look up 6-9 months later, and all that we're really doing is hoping that we've created a strategy that'll cause growth, but really no one's ever really sure of it. So it's how do we communicate that in a way that we keep the signal strength strong, from that leadership offsite all the way out to the people that have to execute and implement that.
And so then in the book you offer advice on how to avoid such obstacles and actually achieve continued success.
Absolutely. That is the whole reason I wrote the book. I give extremely prescriptive advice. We've all read books that left us having to apply the knowledge to our own circumstances. I didn't want to do that. I use a lot of real-world stories and very prescriptive advice on, if you're experiencing any of these 12, what you specifically need to do, bullet pointed, and in such a way that you can actually fix them if you're experiencing them. More importantly, you can predict them if you're not, so you don't have to deal with them as they show up in the results.
All right, well, sounds like a great read. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Kirk. And there's a lot more Morning Blend right after this. Stay put.